Hi, my name's Jon Burton.
My name's Justin Grealy.
We're at the Plug in Sheffield to demonstrate a lot of the techniques we as sound engineers use in different venues around the country. We chose the Plug because there's two actual venues here. There's a smaller venue and a slightly larger venue, about 1,000 capacity, and they're very much typical of venues in this country and, to be honest, around the world.
Right, well, here it is. Let's see if we can find a way in. Round the back, as usual, I suspect. Looks like a nice easy load in this. Decent sized roller shutter, the truck right up to that.
Yep, there's a ramp straight up onto the stage and...
That's what we're looking at. Oh yeah, look at this. It's a nice flat push straight into the room. Nice easy load in for us. Go and have a look, will we?
Let's go and have a look in the room.
Well, John, it's always a pleasure, is it not, to walk into a nice, tidy venue?
And one where the stage is clear as well, so it's not cluttered at all, and you can get to work straight away.
It looks like there's enough PA system here for the room.
Yeah, so we'll take a look around, see what we've got to work with. So let's quickly look at the speakers. They look like EAW KF850s.
That's exactly what they are, John. Made in America. Probably at least 10 years ago.
At least 10 years. They're not the newest box around, are they? But no. Still a good box.
They're not. They're an old rock and roll box, really. There's 3 loudspeakers in each box. There's a 15-inch for the bass. There's a 10-inch that does the mid-range, which is on the horn flare that you can see with the phase bung in at the top of the cabinet. And then there's a 2-inch compression driver on a constant directivity fiberglass flare that is on the bottom of the cabinet there.
And the 15 is actually behind the fiberglass flare?
Yes, directly behind it. They're in a concentric line.
Right.
And they don't really interfere with each other at all, actually, because their frequency ranges are well apart and the mid-range is dealt with the other part of the cabinet.
And it's a good box. It's a box that we've both come across many times before, and yeah, a good start, really.
What's going on with this?
Well, it's a good question, actually. They've done what they've done at a lot of clubs. They've put the subs under the stage. This is a really convenient thing because it keeps the subs. Subs are usually quite deep. They take a lot of real estate. So it's very popular for clubs to actually put the subs underneath the stage. And they're kind of out of the way, and it takes up less dance floors so they can get more people in. Here, it's difficult to say. I mean, how many subs have we got in here, Justin?
Well, looks like there are 6 of these Flare Audio guys, and there are 2 EAW subs.
Which are actually, if we look closely, we've both noticed that there's actually no speakers in the 850 subs. So they're just kind of being used as fillers to keep these Flare Audio subs apart. The Flares I know are a 2x18 sub. I think it's 2,000 watt Behmer drivers in each cabinet. So there's actually 6 subs. For the size of the room, we've got quite a reasonable amount of speakers, especially for a club this size. We're doing pretty well, really. Okay, so what we've got here, we've got the 2 Flare sub cabinets, 2x18 cabinet. They've actually been strapped together, as you can see, so it's actually making quite one big solid unit. As you can see, the cabinet is actually split into 2 bits. You've got an 18-inch in the top part, an 18-inch in the bottom, and it's on a folded horn. That means it's actually inside. It's a bit like a snail shell with a speaker at the back, and then the sound comes out and brings out the waveform. So it actually takes quite a lot of time for the waveform to develop. So 18 coming out that way, 18 coming out the bottom, that's going to join up, and the waveforms should all join up to make a huge noise out here, hopefully. While we're in the middle, at the front of the barrier, I know this is a subject that's very dear to your heart, Justin, and to mine as well.
Yeah, John, it's true. There's it's an unfortunate fact that very often in a situation like this, in order to best cover the room and to avoid the potential of feedback on stage, that particularly in the high frequency area of the reinforcement, the loudspeakers don't actually cover this little area very well. We're only talking about 4 or 5 people here, but for me, these are the people who have been waiting outside in the rain for 4 hours to get the best possible view of their favourite pop star. They're the people who deserve the best sound in the room, not the worst. And looking at these boxes, I would say that that's probably going to be a little bit of a dead spot
Well, I'm just standing here, and it's not until I really step back to here that I can actually see the horns. And without being able to see them, I very much doubt if I can actually hear them, especially with these, because these are CD horns actually. And constant directivity means I won't actually be able to hear them until I sort of step back and actually can see what.
Absolutely, until you can see the actual driver down the throat.
So we've got a kind of dead area here. So what would you do about covering this area?
There's a couple of things that we could consider. We could maybe move the inside boxes. Looks like it's not going to be very easy, though.
They're actually chained up quite nicely.
Yeah, they are. Well, in that case, maybe we could use a small monitor speaker, or just an extra wedge on a single mixed from front of house, and just put it right in the middle. There's going to be a pair of wedges there anyway. So
yeah, or if we've got enough speakers, one maybe either side the stage.
Yeah, we could do a little stereo down here.
I mean, this is a thing that's become increasingly these days with in-ear monitoring, mainly because it's so much quieter on stage, and if you don't have wedges, if everyone's using in-ears, there's very little sound coming off the stage. So you become increasingly reliant on the PA system. So little areas like this, you're not going to hear the vocals. And to be honest, the most important single thing at a gig, as we will frequently tell you, is
hearing the vocals. Absolutely. People pay their ticket money to hear the words.
Especially the people who are here, who are
Indeed.
our fans. So we're going to look at that later on when we start building up the system and see if there's anything we can do with speakers in-house to actually cover this area.
Yep, we certainly will.
So let's move on, and I think we've got to try and find the house engineer, who we found out before is called Adam. So I think we should go in search of him and investigate a bit more about the system. So most gigs of this size have got like a regular house engineer, someone who looks after the system. Here we've got a guy who looks after the lights and the sound, a guy called Adam. So we're going to go inside. This is the amp room. This is where we've got all the amplifiers, and it's like the store cupboard and everything. It's kind of his world, so we're just going to go inside and try and find him now. So you're the house engineer here. You look after the sound, and I believe you have the misfortune of looking after the lights as well.
Yes.
You're kind of the jack of all trades.
Certainly am.
Thanks for talking to us. I noticed you've got the amps in here. What are all the different amplifiers doing? Are the Amcons running the 850s? How's it set up in here?
Yep, we've got the Amcroms driving the 850s. We've got two here running parallel mono, so we've got the highs running on there, your mids running on the them two there, and your 15s on the bottom two there. We've got the subs driven by the FFA 10Ks.
And that's for the Flare audio subs?
That's for the Flare audio subs under the stage. These are just for the infills at the back of the room, and that's for the small back room, which runs through a time delay as well.
Right, yeah, because this room is actually, can be opened up, because I remember I've only ever been here once before, and we actually opened it up the back, because you can pull back the curtains.
Yep, got some curtains and shutter doors that open up, so we've got a time delay, so when people are stood there, they're not going to get any kind of echo going on.
And then I presume the XTAs, they're for the main system, the crossovers for that, are they?
Yep, we've got one for left, one for right, so if heaven forbid for a gig one did fail, we can limp through the gig on one side, and then the BSS runs the back room.
Yeah, and like I say, you can delay the input on that.
Yes.
So actually make a time delay.
Yep.
So hopefully that's something we were talking about a bit later, but you can delay the speaker so it's actually sound arrives at the back at the same time as the main, so it's coherent.
Yep.
Yeah, Amcon's good old amplifiers. They're workhorses. Then don't run the coolest. The FFAs are a much more modern amplifier and run nearly nice
cool,
nice and cool. But these just keep going for years and years and years. I used to have some of these. They're great amplifiers and very powerful. And this is running the mid-high boxes, the EAW 850s, and once again these are running the Flare audio subs. So thanks, Adam.
Yeah.
And speak to you a bit later, I hope.
Yeah.